Hello, this video will help you get started with setting up your document for your recipe book pages. So definitely watch the intro video about the project itself, read through this statement, the project statement, just so that you understand all the requirements, but I'm going to go through some of the things that you will encounter as you build your document. So the first thing is that with your recipe book covers, you have already set up and determined the size of your pages. So you want to make sure that you set up your margins, your page size, everything according to the size that you did for your recipe book cover, because you're going to copy and paste your recipe book cover and back cover into this document. So that part will already have been finished. Color palettes, typeface choices, all those kind of things technically are already set. You will have an opportunity as you design your recipe book pages. If you want to make any additional edits to your recipe book covers, that's completely fine. But just so you know, that's sort of your starting point. So I'm going to go to New File. My screens are both. So I'm going to do Print because that's what it is. And then we're just going to say that my booklet was set at 8 by 11 is the recipe book size. We want to do facing pages. And in this case, you're going to do a 12-page document because you have your front and back cover, and then you have 5 recipes, and each recipe is a spread or 2 pages. You are still going to start at page number 1. This is so that if you ever did go to print, this is the best way to do that, and we'll work on projects in the future where we kind of go through this a little bit more in detail too. But just so you know, your cover will be first, your front cover, and your back cover will be last. I'm just going to keep the margins at, half an inch. My columns, I'm actually going to do a 4-column grid, and then you always want to make sure you set your bleed. So I'm going to hit Create. And you can see in my Pages file, I've got the front cover, the back cover will go on page 12, and then each recipe will go here. You will not be doing a table of contents, so don't worry about that right now. And it really doesn't matter what order that you put the recipes in. That's not going to really be a big deal, so that's totally up to you. However you want to order that is up to you. So you'll take your recipe cover and back cover and put your cover here, your back cover here. If you have, and I don't know if I don't think I saved the recipe thing that I did for that video, but I'm just going to place an image. So I'm going to go to File, Place, and I'm going to tell you something real quick. So we're going to do File, Place. I'm going to find, let's go. I've got so many documents on my computer. Don't organize. Well, I guess, it's organized the way I know that they're organized. I think everybody organizes in a different way. But let's find the folder with the stuff. Here it is, Project for Recipe Elements. So I'm going to open this turkey, actually the pumpkin cheesecake image, just for reference. So, and this obviously is huge. But let's just say that that on my front cover, I had an image, and I know some of you have this. I had an image that went from the front to the back. So, like, we'll pretend this spread is my front and back cover. So if my image went a little bit to the back cover, what you want to do is you want to make sure that nothing overlaps both of those pages. So if that's the case for me, like say, I'm going to add another element here. So say I also had, and I know I'm using a text box, but we'll fill this with a color because I can't reach my, so say, this is hideous, but say you had something like a photograph that ran across the gutter, and then you had a color bar that ran across. So you can't, when you design so that your front cover's on the front and your back cover's on the back, you have to make sure that there's nothing overlapping those pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. So I'm just hitting Option and dragging, and I'm going to take this and bring it to the trim line, or that fold, and I'm going to bring this other side to the fold. And now I still have that same bar running across, but they're 2 different shapes. So same thing here. I'm just going to I'm holding down Option and dragging. This case, I'm going to bring this image over here, and then I'm going to bring this to the edge again, and then I'm going to take this side and bring it here. So the photograph's the same, everything looks good, nothing's changed. It's just that this is one image and this is one image. So hopefully that clears up all that confusion. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. So this is my cover, and this is my first spread. And so each recipe will go on one spread. And I want to go back to the document. And so you want to make sure that you read through all of this stuff. So this is sort of a step-by-step how to get started. So the first one, set your document to the same size. We talked about that. Each recipe will be two pages. You will need a parent page with page numbers, and I'll show you how to do that. You want to import in the longest recipe. So what's going to happen is you're going to design one recipe, and you probably want to use the longest one. That's going to help determine what your subhead size is, what your body text size is, the text in your tables, because you want then every recipe after that, you're going to use the same point size for your subheadings, headers, all that kind of stuff, so that everything is consistent. So some of your recipes might have a little bit of white space, which is totally fine. You don't have to fill up every space. What we're looking for is consistency. So only one or two typefaces that have a lot of different weight options. And then notice you need multiple columns used accurately, parent pages, paragraph styles, CMYK colors, and then the ingredients list must be created as a table. You don't have to do, your recipe cards were kind of a separate thing. That just was to get you used to tables. You don't have to bring in that recipe card look and feel at all, but your ingredients need to be in a table. Your directions do not have to be in a table, just the ingredients. And then, the photograph of your thing. So make sure you understand and read through that. So I'm going to go through parent pages really quick. So parent pages are basically whatever you put on your parent page, it will be on all of the pages. So say you decide in your design, and I have to move this over real quick. Say you have in your design that you want your recipe name to be in a header. So I'm going to I'm going to kind of wing this. You guys should take more thought into this, but say I know that my recipe name I want to have in this header bar, and I'm going to go to my swatches, and I'm just going to fill this with a gray for now because I don't really have colors picked out. So I've got this gray color for now. You'll notice now that this is on my parent page up here, it's going to show up on all these pages. But I kind of went against what I just told you guys about the cover and back cover. So what I really need to do on my parent pages, and I'm back up here on my parent page, is I need to make sure that this doesn't run across because these could potentially be split up again. So I'm just gonna make this shorter here, and then I'm gonna bring this over here. So it's still continuous, but we don't have anything overlapping from one spread to another. And then, now I have something that is on every parent page, and then eventually I'll determine what size. However, if I don't want this on my cover because my cover has already been designed, to release something from a parent page, you hold down Command Shift, click on it, and then you can delete. So same thing for my back page. I probably don't want this on my back page, so I'm just going to release it. It stays on your parent pages, they're still there, but it's just released it from those pages. And then the same thing kind of goes for page numbers. So if you want to add automatic page numbers, what you do is you go back to your parent page, and I'm going to go ahead and go to my bottom, and you'll kind of determine what you want your page numbers to look like. And I'm just going to type an A because it doesn't really matter what this character is. I always default to Helvetica. So I'm going to make this Helvetica bold. I think 12 point is probably fine. I'm going to go ahead and bring this down a little bit. You can put this in a circle or a square or however you feel like your page number you want that to be shown is completely up to you, but I'm just going to do an A here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my A with the type tool. So I'm going to go ahead and select it, and I'm going to go to Type, Insert Special Character, Marker, current page number. And what that does is that if you look at your A, you've got this little guy here that shows you've done something to this page number. And now I'm going to just hit Option, or you can copy paste, drag this over to this side. I can go ahead and make this right justified so that it follows along it locks to the margin. So now that I have that, I'm going to do a quick save, just because it's always good to do a quick save. So intro to recipe pages. I'm just going to save this to my desktop. Save. And now when I go to my pages, if I go here, you'll see I have page 2 and 3. And then if I go to 4 and 5, I have page 4 and 5, 6 and 7. So that's a really easy way to do automatic page numbering. Again, I don't want that a number on my first page, so I'm just going to Shift Command, select it, delete it. Back page, Shift Command, select it, delete it. So that's taken care of. All right. So we kind of have our sort of look and feel. We've got our page numbers on there. Now I'm going to show you how to get your text and images and everything in there real quickly. So I'm just going to do a file place. Always do file place. It's just the best way. Everything will be linked. And I'm going to start with the turkey recipe. So you can place text and you can also place images. So I'm going to go to my perfect turkey recipe, open that up, and you can see my cursor's loaded up with text. And I'm just going to bring that into my the pasteboard, the outside. So you can see I have the name, the cook time, additional time, total servings. I have my ingredients list and my directions. Everything's in there. So now I can just, copy and paste from here and bring it into my file the way that I want to bring it into my file. And then I can also do a file place, which is Command D. That's why I can't find it. It's Command D for file place. And I'm going to take my turkey. But notice what has happened here is I have all of these images as JPEGs. So I'm going to cancel that. And one of the first things you want to do is you want to make sure that you open those images. I'm going to go to my documents. Let's see where those are. So you want to download those from Blackboard. And I want to make sure that all those images are PSD files. So I'm going to click and hold the turkey, the pumpkin, the sausage, the sweet potato, and I'm going to open those in Photoshop. So I'm just going to drag them down. I don't know if I can do that. Let's see if it just opens in Photoshop. Okay, it's opening in preview because they're JPEGs. So I'm going to go ahead and select those again. You can right click, open with, and I'm going to open with Photoshop. Open. So hopefully they're going to open. Open. All right, there we go. Oh boy. Okay. I'm not sure what that message was, but here are our images. So I'm going to go ahead and do a file. Well, first of all, I'm going to make sure they're CMYK and they're not. So image mode, CMYK, hit OK, and that's good. My image size. So this is the case where I want to make sure that I click off resample. Image size 300. And it's probably going to be a little bit smaller, which is okay. A lot of times they say 300, but if I do 240, that's going to be a little bit bigger. I know I shared these images with you, so that's you always want to make sure they're the correct size at 300. These don't happen to be the 100% the correct size. I'm just going to do this for now, but if you want to make this a full page, I'm not going to dig you for that, if that makes sense. And this could be completely, totally confusing. Hopefully not. So I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to go to File, Save As. And I'm just going to save these still in my recipe elements, and I'm going to save it as a Photoshop file. I'm going to do the turkey. So image mode, CMYK. Oh, OK. Image size, I'm going to make sure this one should actually be better. This is still 4x6, which is fine. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to do a save as, and you'll want to do this for all of your images, and save this as a PSD file, save, and then you guys, can do that to the rest. So now when I go to back to InDesign, I'm going to go File, Place. Also, if you want to find better turkey images or better images, you feel free to use your own images. It doesn't have to be the ones that I included. And this is obviously too small, but I'm just going to deal with it. So we'll bring that in, make this a little bit smaller. If you ever have an issue with your images looking kind of funky, if your InDesign is set to typical display, it's going to look, see how they're a little bit jagged? Don't feel like it's wrong. So you just need to go to View, Display Performance, High Quality Display, and you'll see that it, starts looking a lot nicer. So I'm going to, on my recipe book, this is sort of my design, I'm going to bring in my images so that they are full bleed on one side and then everything else is going to go on this side. And then I think that I want my color bar to just be over here. So we'll see. And another thing I showed you guys, I think I showed some of you, is this color theme picker. So if you did want to kind of figure out what colors would be good to go with the turkey, and you can do this on, you kind of want a consistent palette, but maybe in one case you have just the text matches the image and your headers all match something else. I'm going to click on here and look at the colors. Let's see what kind of choices. Kind of want some green. I'm going to do this dark one, and I'm going to add this to my swatches. And so what I can do now is, now that I have these in my swatches, I can determine what color I want these top bars to be. And I think I want them to be, we'll do this maroon color. So if I go back to my master pages and click up here, I can select both of these and go to my swatches and make it this kind of darker maroon color. So let's just do that. All right, and then when I go back to my pages, it's this dark maroon color, which looks really nice. So now I can go to my name, copy, and I'm just gonna make a text box and paste this in here, and that's Perfect Turkey Recipe. I want that to be at the top here. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go to my character. Let's see how big we can make this. And so this is also the thing where you want to make sure that all of your headers are the same size. And I'm going to make this white. So I'm going to go back and look at my recipes. And I'm going to see, and you know what? I probably don't need my this bar to be that big, but let's go back and look at the recipe name. So I'm going to do File, Place again, which is Command D, which is why I can never find it. So sausage, apple, and cranberry stuffing. This recipe is actually going to be has a long name. So let's look at that. I'm going to copy that and paste it. And if we make this that Helvetica again, which it already is, and make this 48 point. Let's see what happened, because I want, I want my header to be bigger. So we're going to do this. This could go on 2 lines. I'm going to go ahead and change my leading a little bit, because it's always good to not rely on the default. So let's say we have Perfect Turkey. I'm going to bring this down and place this up here for now, just to see how that fits. So it fits kind of nice, and actually I might just leave, I might just end up leaving the bar that same size, because what I'm finding is that now I can kind of figure out, I don't know why this recipe is not, this image is not, oh, that's why. Okay, there. Now, and you want to, make sure you get rid of that line. This video is taking forever, apologies. Now I can decide that I want my guide to be down here, which is, let's say, 1.75. So if your guide is 1.75 and you want this to be consistent on all the pages, I'm going to go back to my parent pages, and I'm going to pull down a guide. you obviously want to get rid of this white gap here. So I'm going to move this over. So I'm going to bring down a guide just on this side that's at 1.75. And now on all of your pages, you know exactly where to set that header. So I'm going to make, I'm going to move this over here, put this up here, bring it down. And I think it's okay to have it so that it's, you know, there's a little bit more space up at the top, because that way it does add room for the sausage, cranberry, and apple. I can hit W and there we go. That's perfect. You can also, and I want to add this, you can bring your icons in here if you'd like. So icons totally can work. You don't have to necessarily bring your recipe cards in here. So now I have my prep time, cook time, additional serving. So I'm going to copy paste that little section in here. And then I have my ingredients. So I'm going to think about the ingredients table. So that I'm going to kind of leave. I'm going to put the ingredients in a table, but the directions I'm going to, oh, that's the stuffing. We don't want the stuffing. We want the other thing that we had here. So here we go. So I have my, these things, which you can kind of place in here and figure out the type size that you want for those and where you're going to position those. You've got your ingredients, which I'm going to leave for now, and then you've got your directions. So I'm going to copy and then paste my directions. And you'll notice that I am working with my guides, with my column structure. So I have my directions here, and you can make your point size as small as 9 point. So if I highlight my direction and I go to my character, I'm going to make this smaller. So I'm going to do, let's say 9 point type with 11 point leading. And you're going to kind of be experimenting with this a little bit. And I know I want a header. So I want my header to actually be Helvetica Bold. Maybe this is all caps. So you can do it, either type it all caps, or you can make it all caps by going to your little flyout menu. Probably make this bigger. Let's say we'll make that 14. And then I want my steps to also be a little bit different. So I'm going to make those bold. Step 1, step 2. And you can bring in, you know, color if you want later on. But right now we should just work with black and white, because what you're doing now is you're kind of determining what you want for your paragraph styles for the rest of your document. So now that I have this here, I'm just going to put this, say, down here, because again, you want the longest recipe, because this is going to be the thing that determines how every other recipe looks. And I'm not going to go through this whole layout. I want you guys to also kind of, you know, work through this as well, but I'm just going to show you kind of how to set up your paragraph styles as well. So we have our directions, and then now we've got our ingredients. So your ingredients are going to go into a table. So I can go ahead and make a table with a text box. So I know that my ingredients, I'm pretty much just going to have 2 columns, and then I'm going to have one of them be, you know, have like a header. So you will also want to figure out how to put, you know, this, you could put this information in a table if you wanted to. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm not drawing a text box. I'm going to draw a text box. So I'm going to draw my text box right here. And I'm going to do table, insert table. And I know my table is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows. Let's say 10 rows. So 10 body rows and 2 columns. Kind of crazy that I already knew that. And I'm going to hit OK. So there is my table structure. But now what I want to do is I'm going to copy and paste the stuff in here. So obviously I want ingredients to be in this first cell. There's ingredients. I want this to all be one cell, so I'm going to select both those cells and click on this little icon that's merge cells. Okay, so now I have 1 18-pound, so I'm going to copy, paste. I'm just doing the measurements. Copy, paste. Measurements, copy, paste, and then I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm going to do this, copy, paste, copy, paste. Oops. Because you guys will get the idea. Copy, paste. All right, so I have my table. And this is where you'll style your table how you want to style it, where you want to line it up. What I want to do here is I'm going to move this section over because I can technically, this doesn't necessarily have to follow the grid. Obviously, your sizes are going to be a little bit smaller. I think the text is too big, so I'm going to go ahead and select all of these and make the text, let's do Helvetica. Where's regular? We're just going to do regular. And then let's make these also. We can make it 10. We could do 9 to match the body text. But this is where you can make ingredients, also all caps. You kind of want your headers to be the same. And then you can style this table however you want to style this table. So this is just sort of an idea of how to get all of your information in here. But with your paragraph, so this is when you want to finish the design. Finish the design before you go too much further and get this first layout in really good shape, how you want it. You'll notice, and I just realized this, see how the page number 2 isn't showing up here? You will want to break that loose from your parent page and then bring it to the front. So I'm going to Shift Command and see how that released that page number. And then I'm going to click on this photo and I'm going to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. I'm going to send that photo to the back. And now we have this page number, which I'm going to actually make white because you really can't see it over that image. So there's that number 2. And it's still kind of hard to see, so you'll kind of want to figure out your page numbers on that side if you do use a full bleed photo. So right now what we have, and I know it's not designed, but I just want to show you these things. We have established some important things. We've established a header size. We've established body text size. We've established a subhead size, which is this. You don't necessarily have to do a character style for these, but you can if you want, and I'll show you how to do that too. So if we do paragraph styles, what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to say new paragraph style, or this, you can just do it through the flyout menu. And I'm going to call this O1 header. So based on no paragraph style, and we're just going to go to basic character formats. So this is Helvetica Regular, and our headers are 48 point. And our leading is, I think we did 50 points. So let's go to 50. And then you hit OK, and that's all you have to do for this. Our subheads are Helvetica Bold 14. We probably want to make this, let's say 16. So now we want to go to new paragraph style, and we want to base it on nothing. We want to call this O2 subhead. We're going to go to our basic character format, Helvetica Bold. It actually goes from the last thing that you hit, and then I'm going to hit OK. Actually, you make sure you don't have anything selected when you make your paragraph styles because it's going to then get funky. And then for our body type, we have Helvetica Regular 9/11. So I'm going to go to new paragraph style. We're going to call this O3 body text. And we're going to say this is Helvetica Regular 9/11, and we're going to hit OK. So those are really the main 3 that I want you guys to have. If you wanted to do something for this section, you can make a paragraph style, but really just these 3 are kind of ones that I want to see that you're using. But let's go ahead and make a character style as well. So this character styles are just selecting either a letter or a word. Paragraph styles do the whole paragraph. So if I want this to be Helvetica Bold 9/11, we're going to go to new character style, and we're just going to call this O1 body text bold. Character formats, we're going to go to Helvetica Bold, and then this is just 9/11 as well. You can make it a little bit bigger if you want, but you don't necessarily have to. So now what happens, well, now that you've got your paragraph style set, your character style set, when you go to the next recipe and you place, so we're going to go to File, Place, and I'm going to place the, let's do the sausage and cranberry stuffing. And so we're going to open that up. Now we've got our text here on the outside. So if I copy this, actually I can just do it in this text box too. So it's up to you. You can either copy and paste it over, or you can format everything right in this text box. If I just put my text cursor in here and go to my paragraph styles and hit header, it changes it to the header. If I go here to directions, I do subhead, it changes it to the subhead. And then if I put it in this paragraph, it'll do body text, body text, body text. And then I can put a return here if I want. Then if I just highlight this step 1 and go to my character styles, body text bold. So what this does is this makes it really easy for you to know that there's consistency between all of the text on all of your spreads, if that makes sense. So I know this video has gotten super, super long, but this is sort of where those paragraph styles come into play. It makes decisions much easier. You've already made your decisions, but the first thing you need to do is really get that first recipe in great shape and then use those decisions for the rest. Things might lay out a little bit differently from spread to spread, but that's just kind of the main idea. And by no means does it have to look like this. I want you guys to do your own thing. You could have the text over here, the image over here. You could have the text, you know, on both sides. It's totally up to you. And then remember that you can kind of like play, you know, get a nice color palette going. You can totally change the cells and the outlines of this. This doesn't need to stay, whoops, this doesn't need to stay completely, you know, boring necessarily. So I could make, you know, the strokes of my cell. You can either do it in the swatches panel. I could make the strokes a color. I could do it with green color on the outside. Let's get that W. Oops. Let's hang on one second. H. So you can see that the color on the outside is changed when you do it just separately. I can make the stroke bigger. Actually, I don't want to do that. You would want to do that in the table options. So table options, and I don't have anything selected, but you know, you could make with the outside of the table options, you can fill up your cells with this. So you could make every other cell a different color. You could make it a screen of that color. But you know, really think about how you can format these so that they're more visually interesting. But I think this should help get you guys at least started, help you set up your page numbers, your parent pages, your, you know, text and your paragraph styles and all that kind of stuff. So shoot me an email if you have any questions. Hopefully this is a good introduction to what I am, you know, looking for in your designs. Also, the LinkedIn Learning tutorials that you watch will help with this as well. But your next step will be to, you know, sketch out what your recipe layout pages might look like. And then, you know, we'll go from there after some feedback and all that good stuff. So email me with any questions, and I hope this all made sense.